And we're joined now by two SUNY Plattsburgh researchers who did that survey here in the North Country. Colleen Lemza is a public relations professor who is the director of the college's Shine On program for teenagers. And Kylie King is the director of institutional effectiveness. Thank you both for being here. We appreciate it. Tell us about the survey. You interviewed more than 600 families?
We did. Actually, we're up to 684, but the data was compiled at around 661 responses. The biggest takeaway from it was that higher educated, higher income families are more aware of how severe of a problem this is, and that the education and the training and the advocacy really needs to be focused on lower educated demographics that might not be as aware of the problem.
You asked the families about their and their kids' cell phone use and social media use.
So we had about 20 items in the survey where we asked parents and guardians about primarily their children's cell phone use and social media use, including what age were they when they first received a cell phone, if they have one, do they bring their phone to school, how many hours per day are they on social media.
And parents' perceptions of the danger of social media was a big one, because if you don't perceive that it's a problem, then why do anything about it?
What did you find? What were some of the highlights?
So, one of the things that we did find was that higher income, more educated parents delayed giving their children phones till a little bit later age. They monitored their children's usage a little bit more. They were more aware of what their children were doing online.
Yeah, we found that most children with phones are bringing them to school, are using them regularly, and the amount of time that parents reported their students were spending on their phones and on social media was much lower than what national averages show.
Significantly underrepresented.
And so we don't know that that's necessarily a difference between our area and the country as a whole, but more likely is rather an unawareness of how much time people are actually spending on these devices.
Finding out that parents really are unaware how much their children are online. I mean, it was 1 to 2 hours is basically the median is what we found, and the national average is 9 to 12 hours. So that's a huge discrepancy. So to me, the challenge is parents are underrepresenting at why. Is it because they don't know? Is it because they're not aware? Is it because they're not monitoring? So the education in that factor, I think, is really important.
And because of that, do you think that they're unaware of how much of a distraction it is in schools? Do you think it's a bigger problem in the schools than maybe a lot of the parents realize?
Yeah.
I think it's a bigger distraction than many educators realize also, that students are smart and they're able to figure out how to access content that they perhaps should not be accessing in school. And through this, we're not blaming students and saying that it's their fault. It's really that they have access to an addictive device and addictive material that stimulates their brain in ways that they really cannot control.
You asked about how much they use their devices in schools. Did you ask whether they believe there should be a ban on cell phones and devices in schools?
We did.
And did the majority see this as a serious problem and a huge distraction for kids?
So we asked parents to rate the danger of social media use on a scale from 1, not at all dangerous, to 10, extremely dangerous. The most common rating was an 8. And for that item, there really were people recognizing that social media in particular is quite dangerous. When we asked about the other item, whether or not people are in favor of a ban on cell phones in school, the responses to that, the 2 most common responses were 1, absolutely not in favor, and 10, absolutely in favor.
So 2 extremes.
It was completely diabolic extremes.
About 64% were a rating of 8 or higher. We were also really interested in, for people who were not in favor of a ban, why? Why did they want students to be able to bring their phones to school? And so the most common reasons were safety concerns, enabling communication throughout the day, and encouraging independence.
Fostering independence, which is, from the panel discussion, we learned is exactly the opposite. It doesn't necessarily foster independence when you're completely glued to a parent or someone able to be the decision maker.
You're hopeful the state lawmakers here in New York will pass the ban as part of the budget in the next few weeks, and if not part of the budget, that at least this legislative session?
I'm hopeful. We did find out that the Assembly didn't include it in their budget, and the Senate is now saying that they would like modifications to it. They want to modify it so phones may be used during homeroom, free periods, lunch, recess. The entire point of Hochul's proposal was to ban bell to bell, eliminating the phone anxiety for the full 7 hours, reducing the FOMO is the only way that it's really going to make it applicable, is because if no child has access to their phone, then the rest of them aren't thinking, oh, okay, well, like, what is everybody else doing? I need to go check it. So it's not a can you withhold from your phone usage for 42 minutes? It's a change in mindset. It's you're free from distraction and anxiety for that full 7 hours.
In all grades, junior high and high school and even elementary, or is that questionable whether elementary kids need to be included as well?
Elementary kids,
they need to be
absolutely
included. Starting as early as second grade or even younger.
Really?
We have mentors in Shine On. The Shine On mentors are in 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade classrooms in schools throughout the community. And what I hear back from my mentors is disheartening. Kids are on their phones at recess, lunchtime in elementary schools.
Something that Jonathan Haidt talks about in his book, The Anxious Generation, and in other media outlets, is school can be the time where students are relieved from that pressure,
Exactly.
the social pressure, constantly keeping up, checking in, seeing what other people are saying. So it's something that should be thought about more broadly.
Right.
But school is just a great opportunity to give kids 6 or 7 hours a day where they can just be relieved of that.
Yeah. David Rounds from the panel discussion had said that many students, he's from Bethlehem School, he's a teacher down outside of Albany, and he originally was against the ban at Bethlehem School, and he thought it was too much, too much oversight. And when he started to see that students were finally relaxing because nobody else was on their phone either, that it finally, really changed the culture of the school.
So I know in some of our local schools, there have been school-wide bans. So for example, Stafford Middle School in Plattsburgh has a bell-to-bell ban, and students have the opportunity to talk with each other during lunch. David, I think, commented on this, that the halls are noisy again. It's a loud place to be. There's more social interaction.
Cafeteria
and so I think
is a buzz again.
as we start to notice that, I'm hoping that this will pick up even more momentum.
And is it different from school to school? And is that part of the problem? Is the governor basically saying this needs to be uniform?
Yeah, that is part of the issue. You have some school boards, some superintendents that are just like, okay, enough. Let's do something about it. And then others that are taking a more incremental or mediocre step-by-step approach. The schools that have done the bell-to-bell, whether it's put them away or the pockets or the pouch, the sealed pouches, those are the schools that are finding the absolute results, because it's a change in behavior rather than just trying to get their kids through 42 minutes.
And I think some people will hear this and say, well, parents just need to step up and teachers need to step up, and it could be an individual decision, but it's really hard to be the one parent or
Exactly.
the one teacher to step up and hold these boundaries where it's happening all around them, and it makes it harder to enforce.
And when you talk about enforcing it, you hosted the forum at SUNY Plattsburgh about a month ago, invited parents and their kids and the community to come talk about. David Rounds, yes, a teacher from Bethlehem. He was against this.
He was.
In the beginning, and then he talked about what a change he has seen in his students in the 18 months or so since they've had it in place. He is now a firm
Huge
believer.
proponent. I mean, he has gone from a naysayer to a believer to an advocate.
You also had the chief psychologist from CVPH talking about how much, Erin Stewart, how much she is now seeing this when she deals with kids and parents about how much social media is impacting their lives.
Yeah, one of the things that struck me the most that she is doing now is when a child or a student comes in who's anxious, depressed, self-injurious, she goes right to their social media and looks at that as the first indication of where is this coming from.
That full forum, by the way, is online. We've put the link on our screen, so if folks want to watch that. And the experts you heard from at that forum a few weeks ago are convinced this is needed.
I think if you look at the data, if you listen to the narratives and the anecdotes, it's a no-brainer.
From a mental health standpoint, a public health standpoint, a parent standpoint, an educator standpoint, all of those voices are saying, yes, we need this.
Yeah. The more educated I think parents are, the more they'll realize that it actually is a problem that is impacting children's development.
Colleen Lemza, Kylie King, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.